Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the Paddock Podcast. My name is Joe. That is Finn, aka Academy Scoop. That is Ronaldo Brown, of course, as always.
I don't have an alias.
You need an alias.
What's your AKA?
What's it going to be?
Actually, could someone give me one?
Yeah? People in the comments, give Ronaldo an alias that sums him up nicely and kind of targets some of his strengths and weaknesses.
In a word.
In a word. But in a complimentary word.
Yeah.
We've got loads to talk about. Obviously, we can see it on the title and the thumbnail, the manager options. Roberto Zerbi seems to have thrown his hat in the ring, according to the Telegraph, who are generally relatively well connected. So we're going to be getting into that. We'll also look at some of the other options as well. It's something we do a lot, but it does appear as though this is sort of an evolving kind of criteria, an evolving list of people that might get this job. Certain people that a few months ago would have been near the top, all of a sudden no longer seeming to feature on the list whatsoever. Been a bit of an update on Xavi as well, obviously former Barca manager, legend as a player. He's had a bit of a spat with the old president of Barcelona there, so we'll get into that, a little bit of a touch on some of those things as well. Also, while you're here, Finn, I want to talk a bit about JJ Gabriel. We'll have the full Academy review coming out tomorrow as well for people who want the full details on that. But it seems as though just week by week, this kid's reputation, the quality, the consistency that we're seeing from him is just going through the roof. So I want to talk about that as well. But first of all, how is everyone? How are you, Ronaldo? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing well.
Yeah? You told us before you've been getting into your self-care a little bit.
Nah.
What is it?
The freeze! And then just...
What is it you've got on?
Did I switch off?
You completely threw it. Cause, right, tell it what you've been up to.
You got a treatment on Friday.
You had a treatment?
I just got my first skincare facial. I'm not going to say.
So you've had facials of other types before, is what you're saying?
I'm not going to say.
Your first of that variety.
What's my camera shot?
That one.
Is it that one there? Because I'm not going to say live on air for it to get clipped up saying I got my very first facial, right? So I'm going to say...
Just done it, mate.
But in context, it was my first skincare facial.
But not your first. But your first in total as well.
Was it your first facial of any variety?
Yes.
Okay, and it happened to be skincare.
Skincare. Which is interesting because there's this massive gain in popularity about how effective scientifically salmon sperm is with skincare.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's used in microneedling and stuff.
Is it?
What's the
How do you know this? You're just in this world
so it's
now,
actually
aren't you?
quite a clever double entendre, that,
This is
isn't it?
what Ronnie surrounded
Double
himself
entendre.
Oh, I've got some waters coming in
one
here. Right. But yeah, you've had a good week.
Basically, my point is, when you go on camera a decent amount, I feel like you need to start looking after yourself a little bit.
This is
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? But anyway,
Yeah, that's Finn's and then that's...
Here we go.
water.
Waters and that.
because I've already.
And Finn,
I'm well, thank
been
you.
a big weekend for the Academy, hasn't it?
Yeah. We'll be talking on the Academy review, but there's been a lot to talk about. Everyone's on about JJ Gabriel at the moment, and it's hard to ignore what he's doing at the moment because it's just silly how good he is.
Unreal, isn't it? I want to start with this manager stuff though, because obviously it's probably the biggest ongoing story at United at the moment. We've got a manager in Michael Carrick who a lot of us like, a lot of us are impressed by, but even you can like him, you can be impressed by him. You still have to admit that there's a very good chance he isn't the United manager next season. I would still say, just my feeling on it is that the odds are he won't be United's manager next season. Obviously, depending on what he does between now and the end of the season, will have a big role to play in that. But I personally believe someone else will be in the dugout at the start of next season. One name that's been brought up this week, because he's seemingly sort of put his name in the hat, is Roberto Zerbi. He's someone that's been mentioned a while, but this week in the Telegraph, reports are that he's on the list for United and that he would be keen to take the role. We talked about it a little bit in the news earlier, but he's currently without a club. He left Marseille by mutual agreement in February of this year, so last month. Seen as someone that is not necessarily controversial in the wide sense, but just on a detailed level, he seems to leave clubs pretty quickly. He's a 12 to 18 month kind of guy, has a good style of play, usually tends to have decent results, and then things tend to blow up quite quickly and he's out the door. I'll start with you, Finn. What do you make of him and the fact that we're starting to hear that he'd be keen to take the job and he seems to be on the shortlist for United?
I don't think it means much that he's keen for the job, because I think almost every available manager on the planet would want to manage Manchester United. So that's no real surprise that he's keen for it. And he's clearly pushed maybe through his agent to put the word out there that he'd be available. I think it's really important that whoever United appoint as a manager, they're a good personality. I think we can't have someone who's going to be here for 12 to 18 months, maybe get some good results initially, and then things fall apart. I think the only time where you can employ someone who's maybe got a questionable character is if they are somehow a kind of guarantee of silverware. If they have an incredible pedigree for winning things in the short term, then maybe you can kind of get away with it.
Like a Jose type.
Yeah,
maybe.
like a Jose or a Conte or someone like that who maybe can be a little fiery, but you know you're going to get results and you're going to get silverware. I think that's understandable. With De Zerbi, yes, he's clearly a top-level coach, in terms of his coaching in build-up patterns and, the press, and I think he's clearly a top-level coach, but I just can't be asked for United recruiting another manager who's a bit sassy.
What do you think, Ronnie?
De Zerbi is definitely, I would say, quite a volatile character. He's shown that. There are quite a few BTS clips from his days at Marseille as well of him being very kind of argumentative and kind of like very scathing with players, kind of like marginalising players he doesn't like, obviously very demanding. Sometimes the pros and cons is you're a strong character, so when it commands respect and obviously accountability from players, sometimes, especially at bigger clubs, they need that type of presence so they can actually respect you. But at the same time, I don't know, I think De Zerbi does feel like one of those where tactically he's actually good. He's good, he's got a fairly decent resume, but I think the football I've seen him play, when I watched Marseille against Liverpool, and I thought that kind of like fluidity, kind of hyper possession based football that he tried to implement almost looked like a little bit of a mess though. Against Liverpool, and almost like defensively looked very poor. I think Marseille were very underwhelming in the Champions League campaign as well against strong opposition. I think that was part of the blowout as well, that with him, the fans and the boardroom. So it wouldn't really be my first choice. I just don't really think De Zerbi strikes me as a Manchester United manager as well. People might ask you, what does that mean? What is a Manchester United manager? But it just feels like De Zerbi isn't. And also, I'm always hesitant going after managers that have shown like the vibe of being very problematic and very volatile with the boardroom and stuff like that. I think that's everything that United are trying to move away from. It's not like it's been happening loads but recently, but United have been trying to go in the direction of operating like a serious club with synergy between the manager, the boardroom and the owners, and kind of almost looking kind of professional. I think if you kind of throw someone like a De Zerbi character into the mix, it doesn't really align with that, especially when he also made it obvious that they don't want to appoint managers, they almost want to appoint a head coach that's kind of like wedded to an idea and a game model and seeing eye to eye with the boardroom. And I think when you think people like Tuchel and De Zerbi, you don't really think that. Even Glasner, who's been desperate for the United job, it seems, I feel like he's been twerking for the United job for about 12 months now. He's almost shown signs of doing that with Palace as well. There's a lot of that happening now with with fallouts between owners and managers becoming increasingly demanding. And I don't know whether that's become part and parcel with almost managers being... do you think they've almost become a little bit more self-inflated in terms of the egotistical? I think there's a little bit more too much emphasis on managers now.
Self-importance. Managers have, yeah, maybe.
So, I don't know, but there does seem to have been a lot of that, and maybe there's always been that. I think when you look at the top managers and the managers that are at clubs for a long time, there's obviously going to be less fighting, less explosions, less kind of career-changing fallouts because they have been there for so long. Like it kind of one sorts the other out for you, doesn't it? If you're at a club for 7 years, you probably can't have blown up and thrown your toys out the pram too many times in those 7 years, otherwise you wouldn't be there anymore. So when we see like Pep and Klopp and obviously before that Ferguson and others, there's only so many times and there's only so big a fallout you can have while still being at a club for 6 or 7 years. I wonder whether people like Glasner and people who do leave clubs often, like De Zerbi, whether they've always just been falling out with people and we've just not noticed it as much. I don't know, but maybe you're right.
Probably with the frequency of manager turnover at clubs across Europe, because managers probably feel they have to advocate for themselves a little bit more than managers used to, because they know that their job is basically never more than 10 games maybe away from from the sack. So I think
look at Tudor at Tottenham at the minute. He's joined a losing team and carried on doing what they were doing, and he might be gone after 3 games. Like you just don't know. It's so volatile. Just on Zerbi, and I think this might be a bit harsh, and I hope people get what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be too mean here. When you say he doesn't feel like a United manager, he doesn't quite look like a United manager, I do think that matters a lot, whether it should or not. But I think, like, when's the last time United had a player with spiky gelled hair, a manager with spiky gelled hair? Have we ever had that in our history? Have we ever had a manager that's doing this in the mirror?
Maybe a bit of
I don't think we have. And maybe Ruben, but his was
like more like
his was like a shorter version of yours kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that, like, whether it should matter or not, I think it does. It's almost like, do you know when some people talk about someone being sort of presidential and the way they hold them, and there's almost like a political element of, like, you're just as likely to win an election because you seem like you're a prime minister or a president over what your actual policies are. And sometimes, much like a politician, if you're a prime minister who speaks well and holds himself well and looks like a prime minister, you can be sort of swept along by, the world's sort of financial means, or, the world is going a certain way with finances and with money and all that, and you can keep your job because you seem like you should. And I feel like sometimes you, as a manager, you're judged on what you do, but also if your team's really good and the teams above you really good, and you just sort of stand there and feel like a manager, like Zidane, for instance, that can keep you in a club and get you 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Whereas some managers, you can be you can have everything right, but if you enter a club where the systems aren't right, the structures aren't right, or the financial crisis is happening, there's not really anything you can do. I feel like De Zerbi's got a bit of that. We think you might be great, you might have everything that United need, but you don't feel like a United manager, and that does make a difference. Like how you look when you're doing the press conference, how you hold yourself, the clothes you wear, whether you gel your hair up or not, it shouldn't matter. Theoretically, there's no reason why it would matter on the pitch, and yet we sort of go, no, that he doesn't. That's not right. Something's not right there. Weird that though, isn't it?
Sometimes looking again, we don't want to harp back to Ruben Amorim too much, but he held himself in a very casual way at times in the dugout for United. Even when things weren't going his way, sometimes he'd be sitting back with his feet up and wearing tracksuits, which at the end of the day it shouldn't really matter. But there is that kind of subconscious element of then looking at someone like Michael Carrick, who turns up in a United suit, with the crest on his chest. That kind of subconsciously does matter, even though picking apart what someone's wearing shouldn't really have anything to do with their coaching ability.
No.
I think these things do play into the minds of fans and possibly even the people recruiting them.
And also when you sort of buy into what someone's doing, you want to feel as though they look like they know what they're doing. They look like they should be there. If you're everyone's just human beings, aren't they? The players are human beings. When people talk about aura, or they talk about confidence and how someone holds themselves, people are attracted, not sexually, but you are attracted to, like, someone that looks like they know what they're doing, that they believe they should be there, that they carry themselves in a way that is befitting of what they're doing. And I do think that does matter, especially as a manager, when a lot of your job is about motivation and buying into things. Someone that looks a certain way, like people talk about Ancelotti as another example of that. He looks like he's the guy.
The raised eyebrow.
Yeah, the raised eyebrow, the hair, the suits, the way his mannerisms. You sort of, even before you get into the fact he was a phenomenal player, that he's got an amazing track record, all that, you want to believe he's good enough. And I think that does make a difference with certain people. I think Southgate suffered the opposite at times, especially England. He certainly doesn't hold himself the way an Ancelotti does. He looks a bit nerdy. He's got this sort of narrow face, and his teeth aren't quite perfect. And I think people wanted to downplay that and to make him, he's just a sort of nerdy kind of geek. When actually he did a very good job with England. But I don't want to meet United. But do you see what I mean? How people are sort of treated differently depending on the aura that they have, or the confidence, or how they hold themselves. And I feel as though with De Zerbi, a lot of people look at him and think, for whatever reason, you don't seem like a Man United manager. So maybe that's a little bit harsh. I mean, some of the other people, Xavi's another one that's been linked with United recently. He's a bit of a bust-up with, what's his name now? Laporta, of course. Is he the president at Barcelona? Is that his official title? Or is he?
Yeah.
I think he is, isn't he? Joan Laporta is the president of Barcelona, and maybe he's just left, or he still is. He was in office until 1 month ago.
Right, yeah.
So obviously, very important role at Barca over the last sort of 20 years. And Xavi, one of United's other supposed managerial targets, has been having a bit of a spat with him. So he said Laporta isn't telling the truth. They've sort of fallen out about Messi and other players and contracts and stuff. He said that Laporta started negotiating the contract with Messi's father, and we had a green light from La Liga, but it was Laporta who ended up pulling everything back. He told me literally that if Leo returned, they would make a war against him and that he couldn't allow that. And then suddenly Leo stopped answering my calls because from Laporta's side, they had told him it couldn't happen. Now, this isn't a Barcelona channel, but the interesting bit that potentially pertains to his relationship with Barcelona and therefore maybe Man United is Laporta's response, which is, Xavi's interview surprised me and hurt me. I understand he's hurt. With the same players, Flick wins and Xavi didn't. With Xavi, I saw we were going to lose, and with Flick, that we are going to win. So obviously, a little bit of beef there. To say he also won a league with Barcelona, but in Barcelona that doesn't really matter that much, does it? Because you have to be, winning treble.
You basically got to be better than Madrid.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Also I think if you look at the team that he won the league with, I think it was quite impressive. I think that was during a time where Barca basically had no money and were just promoting academy players. So I think you have to give some credit to him for that. And also the fact that he said Flick won with the same players. It's not the same team actually at all that Xavi had. So I don't think that's completely true.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah,
There's a few. He's now Braithwaite and fucking Memphis Depay.
If you look at some of the teams
Xavi
had, yeah.
What do you make of Xavi? Do you think he's should be in the mix for United if obviously it's not Carrick?
He's only had one role of note at Barcelona, and it's a difficult place to judge it on. From people out of respect, they said there's a little bit of Ten Hagism in the way that he sets up and plays.
Okay.
In terms of sometimes the openness of the midfield and how expansive they can look. Yeah, with the 3-1-6. So I don't know if we would be haunted by that again. Especially, sometimes it's about translation too. That's one of my concerns, because obviously the Liga, Bundesliga, etc., they all have obviously different level of opposition that the big teams have to face against usually. Sometimes you got to worry about that in terms of translation, and also sometimes the speed and intensity of the game can be a little bit different. So if they're looking at Xavi from a tactical standpoint, and there are similarities in terms of the way that Ten Hag set up and how you can obviously be quite exposed in the middle, you need quite a lot of running power in there as well, because it's a lot more physical than the Liga is, then I think that's probably not a road you're going to go on. And also, I'm just talking from an experience standpoint. Xavi's obviously had one tenure at Barcelona, which is a big club of note. He's not had a job since. You kind of... Was he in Qatar?
Yeah, I think so.
He went to Qatar. Was it somewhere in Qatar he went afterwards, or was that before?
I think it was before. Yeah.
Before. So...
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't Qatar, it was...
Was it Saudi?
Yes, it was Saudi. It was Al Sadd Sports Club.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it was Qatar. It was Qatar. Yeah.
Yes.
So he that was his first job till 2021, and then 21 to 24 was at Barcelona, and then nothing since.
Yeah, the resume is not something that screams out United manager, especially with the scrutiny that the next manager choice would have. People will say Mikel Arteta at Arsenal didn't manage anyone before he became Arsenal gaffer, so it's obviously you can get anomalies. But for me, Xavi's not really been someone that I looked at and thought he's really high up my list. And if anything, I think most United fans would probably agree. I don't know if it's just because of trauma and current PTSD. I feel like I have reservations about every manager that we're linked to, and I think it's just because it's that like element of fear and just being hurt over and over again.
There's no fresh type of manager for us to go for, is there?
The only one that feels to me like almost a perfect candidate would be Enrique, and I don't think he's available. So he's the only one that for me ticks almost every box that you'd hope for and has the least red flags as a manager. But there isn't. You're right. There's no kind of clear standout option who you think, yeah, that's the one that United should go and get.
No.
And then people are also would say with Enrique, like the ceiling of him is incredibly high. He's had people forget he's actually had poorish moments as well. Managing PSG before, obviously, last season when they kind of just reached the pinnacle of football. This season they're having a bit of an iffy season in terms of their performance. Apparently, the week in week out they've been a little bit indifferent compared to last year, and so you got to know. Also, people hold against him that Obviously, like he managed the PSG side that went to St James's Park and got beat 4-0 as well. And there's little things. But in terms of that, I feel like that's quite nitpicky. And there's going to be like cons to pretty much every gaffer. But out of every manager right now, that's probably attainable. I think for United, any manager is attainable, really. I think Luis Enrique still would be the best choice because he's someone that's managed Barcelona and he's managed PSG, 2 huge clubs in Europe, and he's had incredible success in terms of winning stuff and trophies with both.
Did he win a treble at Barcelona?
Yeah,
yes,
won a treble with both of them.
So he's doubled up.
So he's managed he's managed Barcelona B, Roma, Celta, and then Barca, 2 spells with Spain, very close together, and then PSG. So the last 2 clubs he's managed, he's won a treble with both of them. Now, what you can definitely say about Enrique is he's very good at getting the maximum out of a good and very good and potentially world-class squad, like with the Barca one. That's your sort of Neymar, Suarez, Messi front line. His goal difference at Barca in 181 games is plus 372. He had a 76% win rate with that Barcelona team.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Which I think, for context, I think Sir Alex Ferguson's win rate with United is 59.5, or we can round it up to 60% across 1,500 games. So obviously, there's the big difference there. The leagues are more competitive, etc., etc. But to have a 76% win rate managing on fucking FIFA or managing an under-11s team with all the best players is still very impressive, let alone a professional football team like Barcelona. He's got a 67% win rate at PSG, which again, exceptional. Another goal difference of plus 227. He's someone that gets a lot of attacking output out of his teams, and I think that's something that United fans would be interested in. But again, can you get him? Why would he leave PSG? Maybe he thinks he's done the job there, which was to win them a Champions League.
That's the hope, I think, is that he feels like he's kind of done everything he needs to there. He's not a manager that's known to have really long stints at any particular club, so that would be the hope. And I think United would definitely be interested, but he feels a little out of reach.
He must be bored. But like saying that, as I've said, Luis Enrique is, if he was on any shortlist that we could actually have viably in the summer, he'd be at the top. Yeah,
he's the one, isn't he? I think. Yeah. The mad thing is, like I said, everyone else feels as though there's big concerns there. There's big weaknesses. There's history and track records, or not enough of a history, not enough of a track record, or there's flaws, or there's they've not managed a top team. There isn't, as there never really is, the perfect candidate. There isn't someone that stands out completely other than Enrique, who literally, as far as we're aware right now, just isn't available. Of the managers that are remotely available, most of them have weaknesses on their CV. Well, they all do. That is a big worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what, I guess that's often going to be the case, but occasionally someone comes along where you think, no, this is a really safe bet here. But right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. So obviously we'll have to wait and see. David Harvey with the Super Chat says, trust Jay to go on paternity leave the moment we're linked with a player named Baldy. That's a really good point from Barcelona. Doesn't seem like that transfer will
How long
happen.
is paternity leave?
Well, it's we'll see him again in a couple of weeks. Let's put it that way. And then he'll be sort of, do a kind of tapered return, if you will. We don't need to go into the finer details of it, but as long as he wants, he's basically.
Can you please go into the minutiae?
The minutiae, the details.
I just want an excuse to say that.
It's a good word, isn't it?
But what else I was going to say, I thought me and Jay were pretty close. I had no idea he was going.
You didn't know? So you've not wished him good luck and all that?
I found out literally today, but maybe because I wasn't in on Friday. Was he here Friday?
He was here Friday, yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. I mean, he has mentioned it a lot over the last sort of 9 months, for instance. You could have maybe asked him when the due date. Well, don't worry about it. Brian Casey says, any manager other than Carrick is a gamble right now. Some of the names mentioned are not an upgrade on what we've had for the last 4 years. And that always brings us back to the same point, the same place, the problematic reality, which is the manager is only one piece in a football club. Yep. Whether it's Nagelsmann, Jose, whether it's Pellegrini, whether it's Pochettino, whoever it may be, you give them a great squad and they've got half a chance, and if you don't, they've got no chance. So let's work on that first. Let's move on. I want to talk about the academy stuff a little bit, and like I said, for the full sort of match reports, we're going to get into the full details of everything over on the academy review, which will be coming out tomorrow. We need to talk about JJ Gabriel, because I think in lieu of a United game this weekend, we've all been looking at two things: Harry Maguire regen in Dan Armour and JJ Gabriel's just, it's like he does almost the same goal every week. Phenomenal bit of skill, absolutely roasting some defender or midfielder on the edge of the box, a bit of space, and he's whacking him in from 18 yards out. What's going on with him? How is he this good? What is happening with JJ Gabriel in the under-18s?
He's just really, 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 really good.
I was going to say, I was not sure how you were going to answer that. He asked you
go on, go on.
Very, very good. He's a ridiculous talent. He's kind of reaching a point now where he's comparable to any talent that I've seen since I've been watching the academy, and from speaking to people who have been close to the academy for much, much longer than I have.
Yeah.
He stacks up against kind of any young prospect that United have had, especially at his age. At 15, he's the top scorer in the under-18 Premier League North. He's
for United or across the whole thing?
Across the whole thing.
Christ.
Doing so in basically as many games as he has goals. I think he's got 18 goals in 19 league appearances, plus 3 assists, and he's got goals in the FA Youth Cup and PL Cup. He's scoring almost a goal a game, which is just ridiculous considering the fact that he's playing up 3 years at under-18 level.
3 years.
So when's he 16?
October.
16, yeah, October. So he started.
He's fully like that. That means he's genuinely under 15s then.
Yeah,
his age.
He's an under 15 going into the season. He was 14 when the season started.
That's it.
And the thing that's really incredible about him is sometimes you get these outliers who break through at 15, score loads of goals. Often it's because, or at least in part because, they've got outstanding physical qualities that mean they can match up or even best players that are much older than him. He's usually still the kind of the most slight player on the pitch. He's not very tall. He's not very kind of strong or muscular at this point. Obviously, he's got years ahead of him to develop physically, but he's doing all of this while being one of the smallest players on the pitch, which is it's just ridiculous. And yeah, he seems to be adding confidence to his game week on week. The talent has not been in question at all. The club have known about just how incredibly talented he is for many seasons, and so have other clubs, which is why there's so much interest in him. But it seems like at this point in the season, kind of past the new year, he's reached a new level of confidence where he's just attempting whatever he wants, and most of the time it comes off.
He must be like, so they must just have a pathway just ironed. It's like set in stone, mapped out for him.
I mean, this is like, you're sort of the perfect person to have on, Ronnie, because you were playing for Liverpool's under 15s and under 16s, basically doing the thing he did, or playing around.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't. But that's my point. Yeah. How many people, when you were literally in an academy of a similar size to him, at the same age as him, how mad would it have been for you to have been playing for the under-18s? Did anyone get up there at that
I don't
age?
remember. No under-15s were playing 18s doing that, really. That's not... What JJ Gabriel's doing is not like very common. And it only ever is done by literal prodigies that usually guarantee make the first team. That's usually when it happens, because it's not a very, very common thing. Obviously, I've known of Raheem Sterling when he was younger. Apparently, similar to JJ Gabriel, he was really small and slight, and he was 14 years old, and apparently he's playing for QPR's reserves week in, week out. Under 21s at 14. Yeah. So that's how he got his big move. Premier League, big Premier League clubs then bought him to Liverpool, etc. Yeah. But it's not a very usual common thing. It is quite scary what he's doing. And Finn's made a really good point. Usually when that happens in academy football, it's because they physically can cope in terms of getting going a few seasons up. But him, just from being ridiculously good at football, and I actually I hope obviously he's going to need some physical development, but I'm not really that concerned about him trying to grow too much, because I feel like he's got really good low centre of gravity, the agility that he does have, and the shiftiness. You don't want him to kind of lose that element of it because he grows and becomes taller. And I also think he's got so much technical ability anyway that I don't think he almost like bypasses the need to be like really...
He's got so much to his game that negates the need for that extreme kind of physical development. So I don't see that being a major problem for him. I don't think he's a player who's going to have that real elite level top end burst. He's not really that kind of player. I don't think he'll need it to be extremely effective at the top level. And usually a really good sign is if a player makes their under 18 debut at 15. That's like you're probably a highly rated player if you're getting a fair few minutes at 15, maybe having more of an impact at 16 in your first year as an under 18 scholar. Usually it's your first year as a scholar that most people look at to say, right, can you perform at this age and at this level, and that will give you a good chance. For him to be getting these minutes at this age, let alone doing what he's doing, is ridiculous. And I think him and Max Dowman at Arsenal are two players who have done this in recent years and stand out as kind of clear outliers. You'd have to go back to maybe a Raheem Sterling, someone who was maybe doing it at that age and had this incredible
Bellingham. Bellingham was like Birmingham's best first team player at 16.
Is he from London? What's his history? How did he get to Man United? What's his...
So his family's from London. His dad played in Arsenal's academy and I think didn't quite make it into first team football, but I think he was fairly highly rated. JJ Gabriel was in West Ham's academy for a couple of years at kind of pre-academy level, so like under 8s, under 9s, and then he was signed to United. But he had trials at a lot of different London clubs, and I think even at that age everyone kind of knew he was one of the top players in his age bracket. There were kind of doubts when he was much younger about, is he just kind of a show pony who does loads of tricks and that kind of thing, and him being quite known on social media even years ago when he was very young in YouTube videos. He was known as Kid Messi and featured in a lot of those videos, and it wasn't kind of clear at that time that he actually had the kind of potential to be playing in like an elite academy and being one of the best players at his age group. But the way he's developed is really incredible, and now he stands out as a player that's almost stands alone in terms of the potential that he has.
And everyone's calling him, like, saying his play style's very like Neymar-ish, and that's like a mad.
He's got a bit of a like. If you see him from a distance and you don't know what kit he's got on, it is sort of Neymar-esque, isn't it? In terms of if someone's trying to picture like what the perfect dream scenario end goal is, it's a player of Neymar's type. Would you say was that a fair comparison in terms of his play style?
Neymar maybe had more playmaking to his game at this point. I think Gabriel is more of an out-and-out goal-getter than that, but he has a really good pass on him. That's what a lot of people have said. Oh, he doesn't pass enough, he's too selfish. Actually, when he chooses to, he can pass really, really well and bring others into play. I think he just knows at this level that if he wants to, he can score a lot of goals. So, why not? I don't think you can really blame him for maybe being a little bit selfish, because what he's able to pull off is just ridiculous. But I think he's got a well-rounded game as well, and Neymar certainly stylistically is probably the kind of perfect end goal for what you'd be modelling your game on.
Do you want to see a tiny bit of when I've like seen the clips and the goals? It's like certain like movements mechanically, either he's touch and strike and shifting sometimes in the small spaces when he's in around the goal. I was saying obviously he's kind of very like Neymar-ish in his play style, but I see a tiny bit of prime Alexis Sanchez as well. I do see a little bit of that when I've watched some of the clips. I'm like, no, prime Alexis was probably Udinese to Arsenal type of beat, not the one that had like bits and spurts at United.
No, Alexis Sanchez, when he was at his best, was one of the best players in the Premier League. So I think a lot of people sort of are scarred by how bad he was for United. I think, didn't he win Premier League Player of the Year this season before we bought him?
He was fantastic.
Certainly in that conversation anyway. At Barcelona, he was fantastic.
No, he was like upper echelon world class at Arsenal. But I remember it's just like certain ways he was moving. I could see it when I'm seeing.
He's so jinky in the box and kind of small spaces as well. So I definitely see that comparison.
It's amazing, really, isn't it? Like, would you say he's one of the best players for the under-18s? Maybe the best player. Or
for United's under-18s?
Yeah,
he's the best player.
by a mile,
mad.
That's what's not normal. Being under 15 you're the best player under 18s. And Man United.
He might be the best player in that age group in the country, and he's not in that age group for another 3 years. That's absolutely insane. Amazing. Really, I mean, obviously.
When's the earliest he can be first team?
So he could have made a debut in the FA Cup this season if United was still in it. But now the earliest he can make his debut is just the start of next season, basically, in all competitions. Because you have to be, the newer rules state that you have to be 15 at the start of the season, I think on August 31st. They changed the rules in the season that Dowman made his Premier League debut. He can't make his debut this season, but I would completely expect him to be, at least in conversations, to be included on the pre-season tour. And we'll probably see him in and around the kind of match day squads maybe towards the end of the season, because sometimes they bring players along even if they're not named on the bench just to get that experience.
But I saw the other day, if he makes his debut before, I think it's the end of October, he'll be the youngest player that's ever played for Man United. So I wonder if there'll be a...
Sometimes they'll just do that.
Sometimes these kind of let's get it done type back. Especially you think Carabao Cup is like the third game of the season, fourth game of the season, whatever it is. let's say we get maybe not a Grimsby, but maybe let's say a Grimsby at home, where you know what the pitch is going to be like, you know that you're not going to get away with such sort of physicality and all that sort of stuff. You could maybe see him getting 5 minutes at the end just to have that record, couldn't you?
It depends on how pre-season goes for him as well.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I think
he'll be there,
and he shows out and does really well. But he's very exciting. I've seen the rhetoric. It's very Max Dowman versus JJ Gabriel, like people are saying now. Yeah, the Arsenal United kind of banter about who's the bigger talent. Obviously with Dowman 16, and I think he started the FA Cup game against Mansfield.
Is Dowman English?
Yeah.
Is he playing for? Because Gabriel's playing for England under 16s as well, isn't he?
Yeah, they're both England internationals. The mad thing about Dowman is he did it even earlier than JJ Gabriel. He made his under 18 debut at 13, and he didn't have the output and the goal scoring that JJ Gabriel has, because he's a slightly different player. But the fact that they're both coming through at the same time in England is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw his Mansfield performance as well. I'm like 16-year-olds shouldn't be doing that.
I've seen some discussion around him on social media from people that haven't watched him in youth level and don't kind of get what he's about. But he's like without doubt for me the biggest talent on the planet at his age.
Really?
So
I think we could do with this as well, England.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously United in particular, that's more important, but like the next generation of young wingers, I feel as though we're lacking that a little bit as a nation at the minute. You look at like who are England's best wingers in terms of genuine output. I guess Saka obviously would be there, but his output isn't great. Fucking Jared Bowen. Do you know what I mean? Like goals and assists, it is Jared Bowen. And you think, no offence to him, he's not guaranteed to start for England. You look at Rashford, who has never been guaranteed to start for England, let alone now. We could do with some... I know we're 5 years away, but... Well, I said Saka, but his numbers are bang average, really, when you look at... he isn't a bang average player, but I'm talking about someone that could maybe come in and actually get you 20 goals and 10 assists in a season. Yeah. Saka's nowhere near that for the last 18 months. So, I think it's a position where England is a little bit thin and could do with someone. Again, won't be another 4 or 5 years at least, but amazing how much potential there is there. And there's always going to be a thing of don't put too much pressure on him, don't say this because he's never going to live. But the problem is, or the truth of the matter is, the great players live up to it anyway.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, it's not because maybe he, who knows what goes on behind the scenes. Anything can hurt players, injuries, whatever it is, pressure from internal stuff. But do you think Messi didn't have loads of pressure on him? Or Neymar was like the king of Brazil when he was 13. It was crazy. So, Wayne Rooney, another one, was talked about being an England great when he was 17 years old and lived up to it. So
the Neymar one's weird because Neymar, I just remember this, before he went when he was leaving Santos, he joined Barcelona. Yeah. He was literally like a day away from joining Chelsea, I believe.
Was he?
Like he was super, super close to joining Chelsea and went to Barcelona.
I remember when he was at Santos and he was playing in the first team, I think in my head it was 14, but probably wasn't. Maybe 15, 16.
I think it was 15, 16.
But it was like, we've got his Pele. We've got the certainty that people spoke about him from being maybe slightly older than JJ Gabriel, I remember, was like, he's roughly my age, so I remember sort of that happening when I was at school and just thinking, he can't be that good. And then obviously it was almost that good and maybe could have had a bit more left, but there's a point where he had like a better goal return for Brazil than Pele did. I don't know if he's actually beaten him now in terms of numbers, but his goals per game was basically one a game for the first 65 games.
A prime Messi.
He was a sensational player.
If you say we get JJ Gabriel being likened to Neymar, if he does get to Neymar level, then we're laughing.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets to half of Neymar's level, Neymar's got 80 goals for Brazil.
Yeah. If he's like you said, if he's half the player or even a fifth of the player, you're looking at a top level player.
Because people, I really dislike the way people talk about Neymar because obviously his antics and people feel like he could have been a little bit more, and obviously being a bit of a show pony and kind of like being a diver, it makes people talk about Neymar as an actual talent and player in a way that is like really disingenuous. I think he's still, in my eyes, when I've talked about players I've watched, and you've got Ronaldo and Messi, I think Neymar's third for me in terms of footballer.
Yeah, in terms of footballing ability, I would. He's right. He's in that with Ronaldinho, with Zidane and Henry and those sorts of like Rooney. levels of like.
You know what's funny? People talk about him like he don't have numbers as well. People talk about him like he's just like he didn't have numbers, and he was just like all tricks, no substance. Didn't amount to winning. His stats for Barcelona and PSG were like fucking elite. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a weird kind of like way people try and like remember him and talk about him like he was just some overrated like player that weren't very good.
Yeah,
I saw him play. He played against United, Old Trafford. I don't know if it was around. It was around the time where it might have been COVID. I think we might not have had fans at home. I think he scored in the game as well. He was incredible.
Possibly, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got in his whole career. So this is including the last 4 or 5 years where things have been a bit dicey. 622 games, 373 goals, which is already amazing.
Still all-time great.
And 230 assists as well. So he's just under. I mean, he's literally got 600 goals and assists in 622 games. Like, he's a goal and assist per game for 600 games. Like, that's as good as it can as footballers can be, except Messi and Ronaldo in it. So yeah, unbelievable. Something else I want to talk about. A couple of transfer rumours. There's an article in, I believe it was Sport, which is just feels like just a generic term, doesn't it? A 5-man shortlist to replace Marcus Rashford. United back in the wingers market. Even though we don't know who our manager is going to be next season, whether they're going to want to play with.
We'll have wingers, man.
Or not.
Wingers will return.
I don't know. Nagelsmann isn't the biggest wingers guy. I mean, he likes wingers, but he likes his number 10s and his attacking fullbacks. We're thinking left wingers.
Which side?
This is what this article is.
Which side do you want? Sorry.
United looking for a left winger. We've certainly got plenty of right wingers in the ownership at Manchester United, if nothing else. The supposed 5-man shortlist, and some of these players I'm aware of, and some of the players I'm less aware of. We've got Iliman and Dye for Everton, obviously very aware of him. Bradley Barcola, PSG, again, I'm sure a lot of people are very aware of him. Marshall, what's that? Marshall, after all these years. Marshall Godot.
I'm already sold him.
Looking for, waiting for Godot.
I see that name.
For Strasbourg, Jesus Rodriguez from Como and Jan Diamande from RB Leipzig. What do you know about those guys?
Jesus.
Huh?
Jesus Rodriguez.
Jesus.
Didn't even make an effort with the pronunciation there.
Did I say Jesus?
Yeah.
Did I? Jesus Rodriguez. What do you know about those players, Ronnie? Rodriguez.
Do you know what?
Any of them stand out for you?
Familiarity wise, it goes as far as, I'm not going to come here and lie, Diamande, Barcola and I know very little about Jesus Rodriguez and Marshall Godot, apart from Marshall Godot having a name that I like. So
it's a good name.
As for Bradley Barcola, this is a guy that it might frustrate you though if he plays for you, because Barcola is a bit of a Garnacho-esque in terms of ability and play style, but in terms of them both being chance magnets in a sense, where Barcola's a massive chance magnet, gets in the things, gets in great areas. He's a great off-ball runner and behind. He's a dribbler, but his end product can leave so much to be desired. It can be extremely frustrating in that way. Barcola's got the ability and the traits of someone that if he was refined in terms of his ball striking, his finishing and that, he'd be like arguably top 3 wingers in the world. And everyone's kind of banking on the fact of, will he kind of like get over that? Will he kind of refine that element of his game?
The Ousmane Dembele kind of that purgatory where you think it's there, but will it be consistently there every season?
But from a pedigree and like kind of marquee-ness perspective, Barcola is the best left wing you probably could try and get on the market, to be honest with you.
Just some numbers from last. Sorry, Ron, I didn't mean to cut off there. Some numbers from last season. It's 64 appearances in all competitions, which in itself is a phenomenal stat for me. The fact that he was available 64 games last season, which is pretty much, I mean, including the Club World Cup, so obviously that's a few extras that, who cares? But almost every single game PSG played last season, he was there, ready to go, which is phenomenal. 21 goals, 21 assists. Just phenomenal. It is amazing. It's fantastic. Again, there's the sort of Ligue 1 tax a little bit. There's the PSG tax a little bit. How much can you trust those numbers? It's hard to say, but he's clearly someone that's very creative. That, like you said, Ronnie, gets in great positions all the time. This season, not quite so good.
His athletic traits that I like.
Yeah, 10
Premier
goals,
League
6 assists in 36 so far this season. But again, he's played 36 appearances this season already. United have only played 40 games this season. We'll play 40 games all season.
Yeah.
What do you make of him?
How have we survived that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Dunno.
Ronnie's pretty much summarised him very well. I think he's a player that can be frustrating. He is almost kind of Garnacho premium in the sense that he will always attract a lot of chances. He just finds himself... He has the knack of finding himself in the right position, on the ball, makes really, really intelligent runs and fashions a lot of his own chances, but then can be questionable when finishing. I think if he can put that together, he'll be a really kind of elite top-end winger, and someone that United would definitely benefit from, but there is that element of doubt around him in terms of can he put that together, especially when translating to the Premier League. But physically he's got all the traits that you'd look for, and I'm quite a big fan of him. Would definitely take him as a left wing option because we clearly need one. My favourite personally out of this list is Yan Diomande though.
Talk to me about him because I don't know much about him. I know the name, I've heard him linked with us, especially with the Christopher Vivell kind of links, who worked at Red Bull for a long time. What kind of player is he? Why do you like him?
Yeah, it's really impressive because he's only been playing at the elite kind of top European league level for just over a season.
So he's 19 for people who don't know. Just turned 19 in November.
But yeah, he's a kind of all-action winger who can really do the lot. Got a lot of quality on the ball, but makes good runs in behind. Another top athlete. Some people have said he doesn't necessarily have the maybe Barcola's level of like top end sprint speed and acceleration, but still he's very, very quick, and a good finisher. Has a lot of end product this season. I think he's had his best season in terms of goals and assist tally in the
11 goals, 7 assists in 27 in all comps.
Yeah,
so
in a Leipzig team who aren't necessarily dominating the Bundesliga at the moment. So yeah, I think he's really impressive. The way he played during AFCON, on the opposite wing to Ahmad, they struck up quite a scary partnership. I'd say they played really well, and he clearly looks up to Ahmad as a bit of an inspiration. So I think he's got a lot of the qualities and the traits that you'd look for in a winger, and doesn't have the output of Barcola, but in terms of the finishing, I think he's a little bit more consistent in terms of the way he finishes. So they'd be my two leading choices personally.
Heaven Soul in the comments says, I think Ineos will go with Premier League proven with Ndai. What do you make of him, Ronny? I know certainly earlier in the season when he had that sort of really good spell, you're someone that spoke.
I'm a huge fan of Ndai, just because he's also, people say it's stakes, but he's a beautiful footballer to watch in terms of his skillfulness and his trickery. It's like second to none. He's got that kind of like futsalish type of guile as well, but he's also quite effective, and he's actually an underrated athlete. And he's got decent running power. He's not just like a small space kind of Trossardish kind of feet type of player. He's got enough running power to kind of beat people on the outside and inside as well. And obviously he's great technically, very two-footed. Ndai is someone that I rate a hell of a lot, to be honest with you. People wonder in terms of his ceiling, is it quite the ceiling of a Barcola or a Diomande? I think Diomande is kind of the rawest player on there, but the one that everyone thinks has a possibility to reach incredible like heights. I think if you go for a top three of what I know anyway, Diomande, Barcola and Ndai, it's like there's quite a lot of differences and variety between the three. But if you're going for like a ceiling approach, Diomande feels like the completely untapped one. Barcola's not far below that, but Barcola doesn't have that kind of like technical ability or that Premier League provenness, which is what Ineos have been trying to go for, like Kevin Sol said, which is what Ndai brings, because Ndai knows the league, he's played there, and that's where obviously Ineos went with the Cunha and Mbumo signings if they follow suit. Well, the only issue is you are probably more inclined, if you are going to go the Premier League route, is of paying a little bit more of a premium as well.
With Ndai as well, obviously I know a lot of people know this, but in 2020 he was playing on loan at Hyde United, which is a semi-pro team in Manchester. I think
he played for Rising Ballers at one point.
Yeah, I think that is true. Yeah, he also was at Boreham Wood when he was in 2019 when he was 19 years old. That is quite old to be playing non-league and semi-pro, even in the case of Hyde United on loan.
Another player that Chelsea,
when he was 20,
Chelsea let go of him as well when he was really young.
I mean it's crazy really, the ascent that he's had. His numbers are probably the least impressive because he's playing in the hardest league. So last season he got 9 goals in 33 in the Premier League, 11 in all comps.
Still not bad.
This season 5 goals, 3 assists in 25. It's decent. It's not prolific, is it? If United want to push on and start challenging at the top, Is he good enough, do you think? Has he got that, change Man United's fortunes type player, or is he a squad player?
I don't think he's a player that changes United's fortunes and really sets the world alight to the point where he massively changes the trajectory of the club. But I think he's certainly got the quality to be a starter for Manchester United on the wing. I think he'd be a very, very useful cog, especially if we're moving to kind of a more fluid style in possession. He's a player that can definitely help you if you're dominating a lot of the ball. He's almost, for me, a bit of a throwback. I don't think the Premier League has seen an entertainer on the ball like him, maybe since like an Eden Hazard, in terms of that kind of level of wing play, dribbling focused. But he is effective as well. His output there isn't elite, but I think if you maybe add a few to both the goals and assists. If you're thinking about scaling up from Everton to United, we've been much better in terms of our goal output this season. I think he would benefit from a move to a big club where he's maybe going to get on the ball a lot more often. And it does kind of get overlooked with him that he has the defensive side of his game to it as well. He's really good at pressing. He gets back, gets stuck in. You can't really play for a David Moyes team if you're not doing that. And so, I think he's got a place at a top level club. And if that's United, then I'd be very happy.
Right, let's talk about Wally of the Week. Someone said in the comments before, Ronaldo didn't realise we were doing Wally of the Week this week. Brown, I'll start with you.
Didn't realise we was doing Wally of the Week.
What?
I don't have one.
What do you mean you don't have one? We do one every week.
I forgot, man. I honestly forget every time.
Single week we do it, and every single week there isn't one in there. I'll let you have a think. Finn, have you got one?
This guy called Ronaldo Brown. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah. He's on the podcast every week.
Yeah.
And every week, nothing.
Maybe it's a more testament to my character and heart that I just don't think about Wally's.
He couldn't possibly see someone in that light.
I don't see someone like that. I don't know. What happened?
Do you want me to go into some of the comments? Jane Jones adopted some Benjamin says Jay because he's not here. That's fair. But then he's got important matters to attend to, hasn't he?
He's giving birth.
Yeah, he's giving birth today.
Is he?
Yeah. Although actually maybe not. Someone in the comments said both Glasgow teams. Did you see the little fight, riot, scrap after the game?
I didn't.
I love it. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's great.
I think it's cringe.
It's a bit cringe, but it's quite fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it not quite exciting that teams still get actually mad at each other?
Was you there?
I wasn't there.
Oh.
I wish I was. I think it's alright. My Wall of the Week. I think it's just how it's Man United for losing to Brighton and Grimsby. There is no reason why. No offence to him, but we're looking at Ryan McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds in the what have they called, Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, because Wrexham are still in it. I know they're a good team now, but they're still in it. We're seeing all these teams. Port Vale are winning games against Sunderland. We're watching all these teams still be in the FA Cup, and we're not in it anymore. I said this the other week, but for me, that hurts and feels more absurd than the Champions League nights that we're not involved in. These FA Cup 5th round games, and we aren't in them. The 4th round was shocking and jarring as well. And watching the games with me thinking, this is the shit teams are still in this. Let alone like Man United, who should be trying to win this competition. It's so ridiculous that we got knocked out of both cups at the first round at the time of asking. Again, Brighton aren't the easiest team to beat, I get it, but 40 games is so shit for Man United. It's incredible that we have only got the Premier League to play for, and the FA Cup's in the 5th round and we're not in it. Man United are Wall of the Week for me.
Fair enough.
Ronnie, finally, you've had a few minutes to think. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna go for the chaos that ensued at the Brazil game where 23 people got sent off.
Oh yeah, that was good. There we go.
I haven't seen this.
Did you see this?
No.
The list of the red cards is so funny. It's like 2-1 or whatever, and then it's like goals, and then red cards. It's just everyone from both teams got sent off.
Did the ref actually have to go around doing that?
That's more than there are players on the pitch, by the way. Sorry.
Who was it? The managers as well?
Yeah, it must have been. Let me find
so
this.
So the ref had to actually go, but I think that's a lot of paperwork that for the ref.
Mass brawl leads to 23 red cards for Cruzeiro and Atletico Mineiro players in Brazil.
First division?
So basically what happened, the keeper kind of was like leaning over and going mad on this player, and was like falling on him on purpose and landing so his knees were like falling on his face and stuff, and everyone just absolutely booted off. It was sparked in stoppage time after Atletico's goalkeeper Everson rugby tackled Christian to the ground after the midfielder collided with him when contested the ball. Everson kneeled on Christian, catching the keeper's face, then shouted at his prone opponent while applying pressure to Christian's back. Here we go, look, so there's a shot there, the keeper comes out, and then he's on the floor, and then the keeper goes mad and is like falling on him, dropping so his knees land on him and stuff, and like sitting on his face, shouting in his face. Everyone literally goes ballistic. Fucking right. People getting chucked into the post, either side of the netting.
Proper scrap, that.
Yeah.
Hulk was playing.
Hulk was
in there.
Who, by the way, has got one of the highest
him.
Goals and assists of any active footballer in the world.
Really?
He's got like 600 goals and assists.
What?
Yeah, just astonishing scenes there.
So what will happen is that the keeper will get the biggest punishment, because if you start something that results like this, then it's like...
bringing the game into disrepute and all that. But if you haven't seen it, it's on social media, it's on Reddit, it's on X, of course, and Twitter, should I say.
What minute was this?
Right at the very end of the game. Yeah, phenomenal stuff. Great stuff. Right, thank you, lads. Thank you very much.
South Americans aren't going to back down from the scrap.
I need to go to one of those games.
They don't back down.
It's Ben Top says, joining late, but I wanted to say I wore the grey Paddock hoodie to the Palace match and got loads of compliments on it and asked where to buy them. Quality merch, lads. Thanks. Well, that's a great question, Ben. The place you can buy them from is in the chat. It's also in the description as well. Go and check out all of our merch. I mean, if you're getting compliments, that's something you're going to wear again, isn't it? That's the ultimate.
Money well spent then.
Money well spent. You're going out, getting compliments. Thank you very much, Ben, as always, for watching and for buying the merch. Make sure you check out the links in the description. Ronaldo, thank you as always. Finn, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much for joining us at home. This has been the Paddock Podcast. We'll see you in a bit.